Have you ever felt like you're the most robotic part of your own job? The endless copy pasting, the data entry. Well, today we're going to talk about a technology that's flipping that whole idea on its head. We're talking about a new kind of colleague that's changing how work gets done, the software robot. Let's dive in.
I mean, just think about that for a second. All those repetitive, mind-numbing tasks you have to grind through every single day. The copying, the pasting, the checking, the double-checking. What if a robot could just take care of all of it for you? And that right there is the big promise. So I think it's time we properly meet these so-called digital colleagues.
Now, first things first, let's get one thing straight. When we say robot, we're not talking about a shiny metal arm on a factory floor. Nope. These robots are pure software. They're basically just programs that live on a computer and use it the exact same way a person does, with a keyboard and a mouse, just virtually.
Okay, so if they're not physical robots, what do we actually call this stuff? Well, there is an official name for it, and it's definitely worth knowing. The term is robotic process automation, or RPA for short. And at its heart, it's all about using software to mimic those basic human actions on a computer. It can read what's on the screen, it can type things into fields, it can click buttons. Basically, you can teach it to do almost any task that follows a clear set of rules, the kind of stuff you'd normally do sitting at your desk. And listen, this isn't some far-off, futuristic concept. RPA is already here, and it's being used by some huge players you'd absolutely recognize. We're talking about logistics giants like DHL, major financial institutions, even the UK government. This technology is already out there, in the real world, getting work done. So when you see a list of big names like that, it begs the obvious question, right? Why are they all doing it? What is the business case for bringing in software robots? This quote right here really gets to the heart of it. The main goal isn't to replace people, it's to take the robotic actions out of human activity. In other words, let the bots do the bot work so that people can focus on what we do best. Critical thinking, creative problem solving, and actual human connection. And when you put them side by side, the advantages for certain tasks become crystal clear. A human speed can change, right? We have good days and bad days. And hey, we all make mistakes. A software robot, on the other hand, is lightning fast and totally consistent. It's predictably accurate every single time. It doesn't get tired or bored, which means you can pretty much eliminate those little errors that creep in after hours of data entry. And this right here, this might be the biggest productivity booster of all. A software robot doesn't need lunch breaks, it doesn't take vacations, and it definitely doesn't sleep. It can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, giving you the work output of multiple employees from just a single piece of software. You'd think something this powerful would take forever to pay for itself, right? Well, get this. The typical return on investment for an RPA project is less than 12 months. That's an incredibly fast payback for this kind of efficiency gain. All right, so the business case is solid, we get it. But what does this actually look like day to day? Let's take a peek at some of the real-world jobs these software robots are doing right now. Yeah, let's cut to the chase. What are these bots actually doing? Well, here are just a handful of really common examples. Imagine sorting through hundreds of incoming emails and routing them, or handling all the password reset requests for an entire company, or posting thousands of invoices to your accounting system. These are perfect jobs for a bot. They can also automatically create complex spreadsheets, process insurance claims, run credit checks, you name it. All those tasks that are super important but also super repetitive. So what's the sweet spot for RPA? How do you know if a task is a good fit? Well, it really comes down to any task that checks 3 big boxes. Is it repetitive? Is it driven by clear, consistent rules? And do you have a high volume of it? If you can answer yes to all 3, then you have almost certainly found a perfect candidate for automation. But, and this is a big but, like any powerful technology, it is not a magic wand. It's really important to go into this with a healthy dose of reality. You've got to be realistic here. Projects can and do fail, usually because expectations were way too high from the start. It helps to remember the 80-20 rule. You might automate 80% of a process, but people will probably still be needed for that tricky 20% with all the exceptions. And for really complex stuff, like making sense of messy, unstructured data, your robot might need a little help from its cousin, artificial intelligence. So, what's the smart way to get started? Well, most experts suggest what's called a proof of concept. Basically, you start small. You pick an internal leader for the project, you work with an experienced partner to automate just one or two key processes, and then you carefully review the results. This lets you prove the value and build momentum before you decide to go all in.
And all of this brings us to what might be the most fascinating question of all. We spend so much time talking about the tasks that robots will take over, but maybe, just maybe, we should be asking this instead. As software robots handle all the routine, mundane work, what incredible new value will people, with all our creativity, our empathy, and our insight, finally be free to create? Now that is something to get excited about.